I recently updated my shot list template, and I thought it would be a good idea to do a video walking through the structure and discussing the hows and the whys. For anyone new to the game, a shot list is a critical tool for a director to start concretizing their vision and for communicating with key team members to actually start planning and scheduling the production. Yes, that is a real word. At its most basic, a shot list could just be a list of the angles or sizes that you want to get, master, two shot, close up, etc. Maybe even handwritten on a piece of paper. I've seen it done that way and probably did it that way myself when I was first starting out. But I found that the more detail I can pack into my shot list, the better. It gives everybody a better sense of what's going to be required to shoot each scene in terms of equipment, personnel, and time. So it makes a great starting point for the first AD for scheduling and for the cinematographer for both their technical planning and their creative input. So let's take a look at my new template. I'm going to step through all the parameters and features. So as you can see, I have this laid out as a spreadsheet. This just makes it easier to keep things organized, visually. It allows me to sort and filter by a lot of these parameters. And I can also just really easily drag and drop and rearrange things depending on the needs of the day. In the past, I've used both Google Sheets and Excel. For this template, I've moved into Infinity, which is like a project management or work management software. And it offers a lot of the same advantages of the spreadsheet, but it also allows me to have additional views. So for example, I can group by scene. So it actually breaks all these scenes out there so they don't flow into each other as they do on the spreadsheet. I have column views. This is columns by scene. And as you can see, it actually shows me all of the text from my content field. I could also sort by status. And if I click this thing, you can see I have table, columns, documents, forms, calendars. If I wanted to add, for example, the shoot days, I could do that and then see everything on a calendar list. Let's go back to the full list here. If I open this up, I have this folder sidebar, and this allows me to create versions similar to how you would have tabs at the bottom of a spreadsheet. The content that we're looking at here is the actual shot list from my short film Tinhead. That was done in Excel, and I have transposed it into this new template for the purposes of our demo. Another nice thing about Infinity is that because it's a work management system, each row in this spreadsheet is not just a row of discrete values. It is a single item, and all of these columns are actually attributes. So I can open it up in this card view, and I can see everything all in one place without being distracted by the rest of the list. And also you can see here I have the ability to use rich text formatting in these long text fields. So if I want to have bold, I can do that. If I want to actually have headings and write entire paragraphs, if I want to have bullet lists, links, I can do all of that. So very nice for entering the shots and also for drilling down on the specifics of individual shots. All right, so let's take a look at all of these parameters. A lot of them are pretty self-explanatory, but we'll quickly go through them. The first column here is the scene. This is the scene number from the locked version of the script. And the way that I have it set up is using this feature of Infinity called labels. And this is what allows me to color code them so that I can differentiate between the various scenes when they're all in this one big list. It's what also allows me to group them in these other tabs. The next column is the shot number. As you can see, I use numbers for this. I've seen a lot of people use letters, which is really tempting because you want to differentiate it from the scene number. And when we shoot, we use letters. But my recommendation is to not use letters because you're setting yourself up for confusion. If you have 1A, 1B, etc., then when you go to shoot, there's confusion communicating when I say 1A, am I talking about 1A from the script or am I talking about the 1A that we're going to shoot? Are those the same? Are those different? If they're different and you start shooting out of order, you risk skipping something. So then the editor is looking for shot number C and they can't find it. So save yourself all that headache and just use numbers here. I've included a column for the slate number, which is where we would put in, the 1A, 1B, etc., determined during the shoot. And the script supervisor is obviously also going to have this information, but by putting it here on the shot list, it maintains the utility of the shot list beyond the production and into post-production. So as we shoot, we put that in here. So for example, in this scene number 1, shot number 2 is actually the master. So that would be slate number 1. And then we'd probably go back and shot number 1 would end up being 1A. So this allows me to correlate the shot that was planned to the shot that was actually captured. Now, the next three headings are the scene heading from the script. And I've broken this out into 3 columns, one for each element of the scene heading, so that I can sort and filter. And particularly in the planning stages, it allows us to see how many shots need to be accomplished, in the interior versus the exterior of a set, or on a day versus a night. And so it's easy for determining how many days or how many nights or how many interior days or how many exterior days we're going to need. And this location is just a text field, and I just copy that from the script. These interior, exterior, and day-night fields are also using labels, as are all of these things that have colors. That's what allows me to kind of create these lists that are similar to data validation lists that you would find on a spreadsheet. That's how you would do it. But this is what allows me to sort and filter by all of these parameters. The next column I call content, and this is the description of the content of the shot. It's not copied from the script. That's why we have line scripts for show you exactly what part of the script is being covered. This is just kind of a shorthand. As you can see here, this first shot is pushed into TV showing static. The second one, if I open this up, once again, you can see that we have all the rich text tools, which is really awesome. And as you can see, it's just a description of the action. In this case, Becca going into the kitchen, then she comes back to Tim. We talk about panning, booming, and dollying as necessary. I do have another category for movement that we'll see in a little bit, but this just helps kind of describe what we're trying to capture in words. The next column here is the size. This is again just a shorthand for the type of coverage that we're shooting. If I open this up, we've got everything from, wide shot, full shot, American, medium wide, medium close. And then because I tend to shoot close-ups wider than a lot of people, I have extra close and extreme. In some cases, we have complex shots. This might change. So you can see here in shot number 2, it says medium close in the size. And it's because we start medium close, but then the shot's going to move around. So this is just sort of like a keyframe indicator of the size that we're going for, if you want to call it that. Next up, we have master/coverage. This is just sort of the role that the shot is going to play. And as you can see here, as we talked about earlier, shot number 2 is a master. If I open this up, you can see we've got master, we have reverse master, we have inserts, we have establishing shots, and then everything that's not one of those 4 is going to be coverage. The next column is movement. This is also an indicator of the camera mount. So as you can see here, we've got locked, meaning it's not going to move. We have pan and tilt. That could be pan or tilt or both or free on the tripod. We have dolly, we've got handheld, we have Steadicam and gimbal because those are different pieces of gear and different operators and they look different. We have cranes, that would also be, jib. And we have aerials, which would be drones or, if the budget allows, a helicopter. And probably if we got into a budget where we had the ability to pay for a helicopter, I might actually break that out as a new label. The next column is effects. This is going to be any visual effects or special effects, which are practical effects on the set. And on this film, we did have some. If I scroll down here, you can see we've got a ton of special effects because we had a scene that was done in the rain. We also have some visual effects. So if I take a look at this shot here that has both, this is the master shot for scene number 12. This is a wide shot, establishing shot outside of house. And we had rain, practical done on set. And then because it's a wide shot, we also had visual effects rain that needed to go over the top of it. And you can see that over here in my comments field, which we'll get to in a minute. And this is important because obviously when we have special effects and in a lot of cases visual effects are extra considerations on set and you want to know what's what, because say for in the case of the green screen shoots, that was a whole day that we had to shoot those like 4 shots that were on a green screen. And we had to have extra crew and extra gear for the rain. And we also had to make extra time for that because obviously there's a lot of reset time when you're dealing with something like water. Next up, we have the priority column. This again is pretty self-explanatory. If we open this up, you see we have critical. I'm using this term to describe anything that we actually must have in order to make the film. Like if we don't get these critical shots, then the film won't make sense. Essential would be stuff that is essential to the creative vision of the film, but if it actually 100% comes down to it, we could leave those out and the film would still make sense. We'd still actually be able to get the shoot done. Important is kind of, just one step down from that. Things that I feel like are really important to the creative vision, but again, could be sacrificed. And they're things that I would sacrifice before the essential tier, essentially. And then we have nice to have, which is just stuff that we want to pick up, time permitting. As you can see, almost everything falls into those critical, essential, or important categories. The one thing that I have listed as nice to have is a bunch of inserts from this kind of small scene. The next column is the status column. And underneath this, we have planned, captured, and canceled. Obviously, when we first start, everything is going to be planned. As we go through the shoot, we'll mark things as captured. And then that's what allows us to kind of see what we shot versus what we haven't shot. And then canceled happens because I don't want to delete things from the list. Just like you don't delete scenes, even if you do omit the scenes, you omit them and you keep them around so that you have continuity. The canceled allows us to do that. And there are a lot of reasons why we would cancel a shot. We might consolidate things. It might turn out on the day that either we don't have time or we decide not to shoot something because we decide that we don't need it. If I scroll down here, you can see that scene number 19, the only shot that we had there, has been omitted at the script stage. But I wanted to keep it because otherwise we'd have 18 and then 20, and we'd be wondering, what happened to scene 19. So that shot is listed as canceled just to allow us to not question what happened. And then finally we have the comments. This is just a free-form text field that we can put in any sort of clarifying information, any thoughts that don't necessarily belong in the content section. So you can see here in shot 5 from scene 3, we want to try and consolidate that with shot 4. They're both listed as a master, and they're broken up because of the geography of the location. But we were going to try and do this as one big dolly shot, and I don't remember whether we succeeded or not. So we have a few of those combining shots. We have my cameo here so that everybody knows that I'm going to be, in front of the camera. We've got our reverses here. And as we mentioned, we've got all of our special effects identifying that it's rain here versus green screens and so on. That's everything that I have right now. As I mentioned before, it's really easy to add stuff. So I could add like a calendar due date, and I could use that as the shoot day, for example, to allow me to see all the shots arrayed on a calendar. So for something like a feature film, that would be pretty useful. Let me go ahead and delete this. So there you have it. I hope you found that interesting. As always, I welcome your questions and comments and suggestions for how I might improve this template. I'm really looking forward to putting it into practice, and if anything should change based off of that real-world use case, I'll be sure to drop an update. In the meantime, thank you for watching.